as long as I'm on a roll here, I had a call in the second hour of the program just a little while ago, a lady saying, well, I was told by some guy that things about Christianity, including some stuff in the Old Testament, like Moses being in a little basket made of reeds floated down the river, you know that story, or the flood of Noah, or the virgin birth, or the resurrection of Jesus, that these are all just rip-offs, plagiarisms from paganism. And she wanted to know how to respond, because I guess the underlying concern would be, well, if that's all they really are, then wouldn't that kind of disprove Christianity if it was just simply lifting the stories that were told about these pagan gods, who didn't really exist, obviously? Wouldn't that just sort of shoot the whole idea of Christianity as being legitimate if it's just a pastiche of plagiarized stories from earlier things? And, you know, there's a sort of superficial plausibility to that. So there's a second of several articles available at the Catholic Answers website. I just want to draw your attention to. This is by John Sorensen. I mentioned him earlier. He wrote this article a few years ago. It's called, "Was the Virgin Birth of Jesus Grounded in Paganism?" And so he goes through claims like the pagan gods that had a virgin mother, that the birth of the so-called pagan god was virginal. In other words, that there was no human father. He goes through all these things, and he gets into, he names names. Osiris, a alleged god of Egypt. Now, I mean, he was a god of Egypt, but he didn't really exist. Horus, some of the other primordial figures, Romulus and Remus, and Zeus and Dionysius, and you know what I'm saying? All these kind of different pagan gods that are amalgamated into this theory that, oh my gosh, well, the pagans knew all about this stuff long before Jesus. Okay, if you've ever run into that, it might be a bit intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. It shouldn't be intimidating for you, because the facts of the story are on our side. So if you're a Christian and you believe in the Bible and you believe in Jesus, not to worry, not to fear that this is somehow some gigantic plagiarism. It's not. And articles like this will show you. They'll break it down for you and give you the documented evidence so that you can speak intelligently about this. Now, why am I going into all this detail? Here's why I'm going into all this detail. Even though these kinds of arguments have been refuted many times over the centuries, this current generation, just like all the generations that came before it, are not familiar with these answers. Many people have not even heard the arguments before, but they're much less aware that the answers are there. And I want you to always be ready. I want you to be able to do what the Bible says in 1 Peter 3:15, to always be ready to give a defense. And the word in Greek there, apologion, where we get the word apologetics. Always be ready to give a defense, an explanation to anyone who asks you for the reason for the hope that is in you, but do it with gentleness and respect. And you know how you can maintain your gentleness and respect is when you are in command of the facts. When you know what you're talking about and you've got the facts down cold, even if you have to go and look at an article, that's fine. When you have the facts at your fingertips, you can keep your calm because you're not going to get rattled. You're not going to get flustered. You're not going to be put on the defensive when you know the facts. So that's how you can accomplish the part there in 1 Peter 3:15 about doing it with gentleness and respect, because you can afford to be calm. You're not going to get rattled. So point is, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the people who ask you questions like this or challenge you. They deserve good answers too. They deserve the information that you are privy to. And the beauty part about that is that this is just lying there at your feet. It's just waiting to be picked up. The arguments against the Catholic faith, purgatory and Mary and the Pope and all of the above have been answered biblically and historically, decisively, persuasively, many times over. But if you're not aware of what those answers are, all you have to do literally is a few clicks on the keyboard and it's there at your fingertips. It's that easy. So organizations like Catholic Answers, certainly Relevant Radio, just to name two, we specialize in bringing you information to make your life easier and to put you in a position where you can speak intelligently with people who challenge you. And you know what's going to happen. they're going to walk away from the conversation saying, wow, she really knows what she's talking about. And you can have a great effect on people. So this is why it's important to study a little bit, to prepare a little bit. And by all means, when you run into one of these things where somebody challenges you and it seems pretty, that sounds pretty convincing, call me and I'll help you work through it. I'll show you what the evidence actually says. That's all. I just want to remind you, because these resources are there, and sometimes people panic. They don't realize that the answers are there. They're there.
For more of The Patrick Madrid Show, visit relevantradio.com/Patrick.